and always stoking the fire. Adrenaline is overloading, hit the mat like a fighter. They never let up, never throwing, giving to their desires. No, they keep working on their focus.
And welcome in, everyone, to another edition of Keep It in the Ring. I'm Rich Mancuso, and there's my sidekick, the former pro fighter, Richard Pearson. I welcome you in. Thank you for your loyal support. Stream Punk Entertainment presents Keep It in the Ring every week here, live on, or not live yet, we will be soon on YouTube and other social media platforms. At the bottom of the screen, my friends, just scroll all my social media where you could reach me at Twitter, Ring786, Facebook.com, Rich Mancuso. And as always, as I say, besides Keep It in the Ring, Rich, is to like, subscribe, or like, comment, and subscribe. We'd like to hear from you. And also on my YouTube channel itself, Rich Mancuso. A lot to do in the next hour, including the first fact of the week with boxing that I have, and I'm going to test Richard Pearson's knowledge. It's not trivia, it's a fact. And to our buddy Scott Churston behind the scenes, thank you again for putting this all together. You'll be hearing a little Scott's voice later on in the program. All right, Rich, you ready to roll to Keep It in the Ring?
Always here. Ready.
Yeah, I know we had a kind of a dull week until we saw this last Saturday night, and we saw an atrocity, the first one of the new year for the sport. And it involved the referee Tony Weeks, involving Vergil Ortiz's comeback and debut at 154 on the Golden Boy production. And it was his Golden Boy promotion debut as well. But we saw the referee Tony Weeks really botch this one up. Fredrick Lawson, the journeyman opponent, as they say. Vergil Ortiz, let's take a look at it and analyze. I think boxing world by now knows what happened, and we'll give our opinions. All right, Scott, you can go with it. Here we go. The first round, early stoppage that was too early. And take a look. And Rich, you're welcome to comment over this, what happened.
I mean, right now you can see them as they're working. It's the first round. All fighters could get caught. Any fighter could get cold. Get caught cold. And he got caught with a simple jab. He went back. Nothing lands. Being punched on, but nothing is landing. And Tony Weeks stepped in.
That's the question. And the question that's still being asked, was that stoppage too soon? Was it a legitimate stoppage? Was Lawson losing his balance? Was he incoherent? Could this fight have continued as Lawson contended?
I mean, before I answer that question, I could also ask the question is, does Tony Weeks, want to be part of the reason why the sport of boxing seems to be dying? I mean, if we had Tony Weeks inside of the ring when, Pacquiao fought Morales, would the fight would have got all three knockdowns in the first round and continue to go 12, and then, became that kind of a great fight where, not Morales, Marquez, and we get these a trilogy, and then we get the fourth fight, and Pacquiao gets knocked out.
Well, by the way, you're bringing up a good point. I'm going to jump ahead because this same referee has been in controversial fights prior to this. However, if you go back to 2007 on Showtime and let the late Diego Corrales rest in peace, he was a good, loyal friend, and I got to know him real well before his tragic, untimely death. This same referee was the referee in Corrales Castillo 1. This same referee, Richard Weeks, let that fight continue with all the punishment that both fighters took. And also was really wasn't amidst the controversy of Diego Corrales dropping his mouthpiece 2 times in that epic 10th round that might have been one of the best rounds in boxing history. However, you look at safety here, Richard. Do you look at this referee being incompetent? What's your take on it as we look at the image of the referee and then what ensued afterwards later in the week, what he said?
I mean, I think the stoppage was unnecessary. It was extremely premature. I didn't see the fighter taking any damage. And then, what he said following up after that to cover himself, I mean, that's something very dangerous that he said, and for him to say that now, this opens up a really big can of
Yeah.
worms because
Let's put up the statement that he said that was lifted on his Facebook page. And the Nevada State Athletic Commission was all in his defense and said there was nothing wrong with this. However, Tony Weeks makes this statement. What the public don't know, that prior to the fight, the brain aneurysm on Lawson, he's saying. And they did a test again, and the same aneurysm came up. Another doctor was brought in to give him the same exam. He tested negative, and the aneurysm, so they cleared him to fight. Now, by all means, if a fighter, as Tony Weeks claims, if a fighter has tested for an aneurysm, he's not going to be in the ring. However, none of that came up. The Nevada State Athletic Commission disputed that. They're behind the referee Tony Weeks on the early stoppage. The boxing world is questioning everything now, and more so this referee who's questioning the authority and the standards of the Nevada State Athletic Commission, which happens to be one of the best in the country, as we all know. And the Nevada Athletic Commission also puts heavy emphasis on safety of the fighter. That includes pre-medical testing before the fight, very top doctor, the top doctors that you can get. And even afterwards, they test the fighters for any illegal substance abuse, anything like that. But to claim that Fredrick Lawson had an aneurysm going in the ring, well, to me, Rich, if I'm on the board of the Nevada State Athletic Commission or the head of the commission, Tony Weeks is not only suspended, he's banned for refereeing another fight. I don't know the man. I don't want to judge him, but based on this and some of his past experiences with controversial fights, and he's been involved in a few the past few years, something don't come to mind right now, I would just not let Tony Weeks referee another fight, at least in Nevada where a lot of the action is. Your opinion on that?
I mean, yeah, I mean, he just had a controversial stoppage when, Rolly Romero, went up against Ishmael Barrios. That's just a year ago. Almost to the date. It was just a year ago. It's actually bigger than the way that he's stopping these fights. For him to say that a fighter, went inside of a doctor's office and got this CAT scan, and they saw an aneurysm, and the doctors let the guy walk out. That's a no-no. I mean, I worked in the medical field for 4.5 years of my life. If you come in there with a brain aneurysm, you're not leaving. We're going to perform surgery on you before we let you walk out the hospital and fall on the ground. So
now take it but also now, Rich, take it from a perspective as a fighter. Tell the people out there briefly what goes on in testing for a fighter. I know, of course, you've been in there prior to a fight with the strict adherences of the respective athletic commissions.
I fought in Vegas 3 times. I fought in Vegas 3 times as the B-side fighter. And I can't tell you what they do for an A-side fighter, but I'm sure Ortiz's fighter was not on the A-side. And the things that they put me through, stress echocardiograms the day of the weigh-in to make sure that I was safe and healthy to fight, they did not let this man get in that ring with an aneurysm. They didn't.
And they perform intense testing.
Very
intense. Right? And that includes the brain scan and the CAT scans and all that stuff.
It's simple mathematics. Why do you think Floyd loves to be in Vegas?
Good point. Yeah. And it just behooves me how this transpired, and the referee who's appointed not only by the athletic commission but the sanctioning organizations involved would come out with a statement like that, knowing fully that, I think it was for him to cover up, knowing that he did wrong, ending this fight early, very early in the first round.
Man, cool. So what it is this. Tony Weeks is an older referee. He's been around the game for a really long time, but what he's not fresh with is social media. You see, information is traveling fast, and these young bucks is out here on Twitter and Instagram, and they calling people out. You see, back in the day, you had the referees like the Steve Smoger who would let the fight go on, and he never really got to hear how people felt about him. I love Steve Smoger as a fighter, because if I'm in the ring, I don't want anybody to throw a towel in. Let me fall on my shield, and that's the referee. If I could always have him, I will always have him. Now you got Tony Weeks who's sitting there, and he had to hit a backlash from the public, so he had to put it on. Nobody want to take blame for what they do, and that's what Tony Weeks did.
No, but I'd still. We've yet to hear the Athletic Commission, the Nevada State Athletic Commission, make a statement knocking the referee for what he did, but more so the statement than the early stoppage. They won't go against the referee's ability to stop a fight, realizing he's the third man in the ring. Safety of the fighter at all times, as they say, comes first. So obviously that's not why they're not commenting about that. They should be commenting, though, about what the statement Tony Weeks made. To me, that just damages the reputation, let alone the referee. It damages the reputation of the Athletic Commission more so. It damages the reputation of the fighter. It damages the reputation of the sport itself. And, I just don't understand. I shook my head. I still am.
You see, it only it affects men like you and I, because you and I understand the sport. But the public, the minute that Tony Weeks said that, see, nobody looked at the commissioner. Nobody looked at the state athletic commission. Everybody looked at the promoter. Like, oh, wow, the promoters are, very messed up people. So now the public
here you're referring to Oscar De La Hoya.
Yes.
Who really didn't have much to say about this. Well, obviously his fighter won, debuting at 154. And even Vergil Ortiz, who's been inactive for 17 months, said that he was going to get knocked down quick anyway. So, Ortiz was doing what he had to do. It's Fredrick Lawson who got, to me, robbed in this one. In the meantime, Ortiz successful and called out Tesu as his next opponent for the championship at 154, which would be a dandy of a fight, except that we haven't seen much of Vergil Ortiz except for that early stoppage. But, Rich, any final thoughts on this as we put up Vergil Ortiz's image? We have it, I believe, and him getting officially declared the winner of this fight with that bogus referee. I'm sorry, I got to say it. I don't even want to know this guy no more.
Well, as a fighter, I respect no fighter that know for a fact that they didn't actually stop a fighter, and they actually proud to raise their hand up and say that they stopped the fighter. And I actually feel bad for Tony Weeks, because whoever's in his ear and who's been working with him and pushing him to do the things that he's doing to save a fighter, because that's what they do. They save a lot of A-side fighters. I feel bad for him, because this is his legacy. He's been in this ring refereeing, doing refereeing for years, decades. He's been doing this, and now this is what he's going to be remembered as.
Well, look, I spoke to a former deputy director of the New York State Athletic Commission here in New York, saw this as well, and one of his responsibilities was this, and he's like flabbergasted. He couldn't believe what happened. He couldn't believe it either. So,
this is worse than Richard Steele.
Yes, the Richard Steele Chavez Whitaker fight, right? And then that go back in the 80s. Yeah, it is terrible. And we hope to not see that again. But this is still a developing story, my friends. We'll keep on it and keep you abreast about this. And, that's what we're here, keep it in the ring. We're going to give our opinions. I'm giving my opinion about this and so much more. Boxing needs a lot of reform. This is one of them. You need to take a look at this referee. I hope the promoters take reference to that, and also look at the fact that boxing doesn't need this controversy. We need good fights, and here's another, and we'll discuss this, Rich, later on in the weeks to come. because this is a matter of all sports too, with the major sports leagues in the United States. There's a lot of gambling. You have online gambling, and you have a lot of questions. And even this, I heard a few of some of my supporters out there said this referee was on the take right away. And you never know. Online game. I'm not making accusations here. I'm not accusing. I'm looking at it this way, that maybe, with the way online gambling is now, that maybe there's something going on behind the scenes that we don't know. I don't know. But the promoters in boxing, the networks, streaming networks in boxing, are allowing this to happen. This is another issue altogether, and I'm going to get into that in the weeks to come. We'll have an entire segment on judging and how online gambling might be influencing a decision by judges and even a referee in the ring. In this case, I don't know if that's the case, but I do think there's early stoppage, controversial as it is, and for Fredrick Lawson, hopefully he gets another shot at something. He didn't deserve that. All right, let's move on, Rich, because a lot to talk about as we get the year going. Fights are being made. We emphasized last week the 140-pound division. And quickly, I'm going to bring up this image. It's all over social media in the past few days. It is obvious now that Floyd Mayweather Jr., out of retirement, is looking to come out of retirement again, fight an exhibition with Manny Pacquiao. God knows why they want to do that. And Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Ryan Garcia, the highly touted lightweight, are running together in the streets of Las Vegas, Nevada, where they both live. They go on a jog together. They talk to each other. Mayweather throws ideas into Garcia's head, with wondering now if that's why Ryan Garcia might be having difficulties with Oscar De La Hoya and his promoter, Golden Boy. What Floyd Mayweather and Ryan Garcia are talking about, well, God only knows what they're talking about. But Ryan Garcia's actions of late with Oscar De La Hoya and Golden Boy, mind you, I'm not a great fan of Oscar De La Hoya either, Rich, but that's what they're doing. They're running together every day in Las Vegas. They're not going to the casino. They're running on the streets.
Are they running on the streets?
Yeah.
Or is this the way that they're actually speaking? So you started off with Floyd Mayweather is going to do an exhibition with Manny Pacquiao. There's no such thing as Floyd Mayweather having an exhibition with Manny Pacquiao. Even if it's a sparring session, it's a rematch. However, Floyd Mayweather's name has been dropping. He's become a spectacle.
He needs money. He wants to make money again.
He needs the money, and he needs to get his name back out there. So who's one of the hottest names that's on the market right now? Ryan Garcia. Who is having problems with Oscar De La Hoya? Ryan Garcia. Who doesn't like Oscar De La Hoya? Floyd Mayweather.
Exactly.
This is all marketing. This is all marketing. This is business. Boxing is a business.
Right. Good point, Rich. And it's happening with both those guys right now. Want to go to that junior welterweight 140-pound division, which is the hot topic in the sport, which is the highlight division in the sport. We went into some of it last week, and I want to look at what went on before we go into Teofimo Lopez and some of the others and more Ryan Garcia. Got to take a look at this, because at that same fight in Vegas at I forgot what casino it was. Doesn't matter at this point. Anyway, what hotel rather. You get to see this. Scott, do we have the image of Devin Haney's father and Bernard Hopkins, the co-promoter and partner with Golden Boy, Oscar De La Hoya, shoving each other, coming out of a bathroom, I understood. Scott, do you have that image? If not, that made for theatrics. That caused some headlines, a major buzz on social media. Devin Haney's father shoving the Hall of Famer Bernard Hopkins, or Bernard Hopkins shoving Devin Haney's father.
No, it was Bernard Hopkins shoving Danny Haney's father. And again, it's all theatrical. It's all entertainment. If what us fighters, what we do not do is shove. You understand? And what we're definitely not going to shove ringside. Devin Haney and Bernard Hopkins, they're promoting something. They're trying to get something brewing. That's all
Okay.
that they're doing. If yes, Bernard Hopkins told, Devin Haney's father that me and you walk into the bathroom. Think about it. We're at a stadium. The bathroom would never be vacated where just me and another person could be in the bathroom
Right.
and get a fight on. It's not going to happen. They already know this new era is soon as somebody raises their voice, 90 people pull their phones out and it's all publicity. It's
There it
easy
is.
publicity. It's marketing.
Bernard shoves Haney. That was the headline.
Once again, it's publicity.
Yeah.
This
Now,
is all it
Rich,
is.
publicity and maybe setting up something with Golden Boy, maybe setting up fights that have been talked about. Haney, maybe Ryan Garcia. But Ryan Garcia is saying he's going to want Rolly Romero. Oscar De La Hoya is pushing for either fight. I think he's leaning towards more of a Haney fight because he knows that will draw numbers. Devin Haney can draw on pay-per-view. It happens to be a pay-per-view fight. So at this point, is it Devin Haney against Ryan Garcia, or is it Ryan Garcia against Rolly Romero? What are your thoughts on that? In that 140-pound division, that is the highlight of the sport.
It goes back to the business. It goes back to this. You have, again, Bernard Hopkins is sitting here shoving Danny Haney's father. You have Floyd Mayweather jogging with Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia is the challenger for both fighters. Rolly Romero is Floyd Mayweather's boy. So, of course, Floyd will want that fight to happen. And we already saw what happened with the sparring session between Ryan Garcia and Rolly Romero. That's a dangerous fight. That's a dangerous fight for Ryan Garcia. He has a better chance. He has a way better chance at beating a timid Devin Haney, who is now forgetting to be humble and starting to think he's something that he isn't. So he may just take the fight with Rolly because Mayweather's in his ear, jogging with him for 45 minutes, whispering to him. It's called the art of seduction.
Right. Let's face it, Floyd Mayweather still has a voice in the sport. He has a voice of what he can do. People listen to him. He generates money. All-time leading gross fighter, money-wise. He's made it. He's done it.
Mancuso,
there's no doubt about it.
Mancuso, do you really think Ryan Garcia was trying to do a half Philly shell in his last fight just because he woke up and said he wanted to do it? He's been jogging with Floyd Mayweather.
Right. It's another good point as we continue to keep it in the ring here with Rich Mancuso and Richard Pearson. We're here at Stream Punk Entertainment. Like, comment, and subscribe here, and also on my YouTube channel, Rich Mancuso. We are going to go live soon, but we want you to comment, fans. We want you to comment on what Rich and I are talking about. We're getting deep into the issues of the sport. We'll do that every week here, and we'll continue to do it tonight. Now, we keep it 140, this junior welterweight division that is hot and heavy with star-studded talent. Talked about it a little bit last week. We'll go into it more. Teofimo Lopez has a junior welterweight title defense, 140-pound, and he's got a Jermaine Ortiz, who's at a CES Promotions at Madison Square Garden coming up in the Hulu Arena Theater February 8th. What are your thoughts on Teofimo going with Ortiz right now instead of going against Haney or Garcia or someone like that?
I think Teofimo is doing the right thing. Taking his time. His last fight, you see he's getting the OU back into his joints. He's getting the feel for it again. He's not ready to jump right in there with these fighters that's considered the stars. These fighters right now, like, the Tanks, the Devin Haney's, these guys they're electrified inside themselves. They're on another level right now mentally, so he has to take another fight, so mentally he could get there as well. So he can stop feeling like he's chasing them. When you feel like you're chasing a fighter, you don't feel as though you're on their level. He shouldn't have to get in the ring to prove something that he's on their level. He want to get in the ring to show them they was never on his.
Well, Teofimo likes fighting in the Garden. Top Rank is his promoter. They're promoting there. And his last appearance in the Garden last year, where I was at ringside against Sandor Martin, who was unheralded out of that division. He had a tough time with him. And more importantly, Teofimo Lopez, who I still think could be a champion in this division, and possibly Eamon Haney down the line, who knows. But Teofimo Lopez did not draw in the Garden last year. And questioning now, is his marketability down? Now, I would never, want to say that, but based on 8,000 fans in the main arena at Madison Square Garden, that doesn't hold well for his being a marketable fighter in a big stage like that. I think we're past that, though, because now he's fighting in the Jason Hulu Theater where capacity is 5,500. And I think Top Rank, his promoters, and Bob Baraman realize that and will put him in there where they'll sell out easily. I think Teofimo Lopez is still a draw, a major draw. He keeps himself active on social media. Everyone knows every move he's making. He's calmed down his act a little bit, but he still wants that takeover in the division, and he might get there, Rich.
Well, I wouldn't say he isn't a draw. This is how I look at it. I feel as though, promoters, they all, try to take something from the Don King era and the Bob Arum era, which is greed. But they missed out. They missed a big part of it, which is let's put the best against the best. So you take a team from Lopez, right? You take him, you put him in Madison Square Garden. Okay, he didn't sell out his last draw, right? He didn't sell it out. He didn't sell out 20,000 seats. But we know who could sell 15,000 seats. So if you got a small arena where he's selling out a 5,000 crowd, that means if we put him in front of somebody that can sell out 15,000 seats, and he's going to sell it for the last 5,000, challenge him. This is how he gets his fan base. He's not being seen how he should be being seen.
But I made a major goof because his next fight is not in the Garden. It's in Vegas. The Garden has a show that same day. I got to get my act together here. But it's not in the Garden.
Look, if you're gonna share my name, Rich, come on. You got to be on time.
Now I'm gonna clarify it because I got a ton of things going on today, but I should know that. And fans, my apologies if I'm wrong. I'll correct it as we go along here. But one guy that we know is no longer with Top Rank is a former champion in that division, and we're talking about Ramirez. And he basically made it all official on that same show with Vergil Ortiz. Jose Ramirez was a champion at one time in the division that, again, is stacked also with Cantrell as a part of this. And he said no longer Top Rank. Golden Boy signed him, which is a coup for them. He's still got it, though he's been inactive with injuries and putting fights together. But Vergil Ortiz is Jose Ramirez is now in the Golden Boy stable, and Golden Boy seems like they're going to be doing a lot in this new year.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Golden Boy is look at Golden Boy Promotions as a fighter that only fights at the level of their competition, and they came into the game. Oscar De La Hoya, Bernard Hopkins, Sugar Shane Mosley, and they was doing their thing. And then it's, got a little shaky because they started competing with Top Rank and Lou DiBellas and everything. And then they got real comfortable. And you know how it is. Once you get comfortable, things start falling apart. Now you got a promoter like, you got Eddie Hearn out here, doing this thing. Now they know they got to wake up. They got to get up. It's the 10th round, championship rounds, and they're trying to recruit again.
Well, you talk about Eddie Hearn. He's working with Bob Arum and Top Rank on this show this weekend that with Kaleem Smith and Bert Aviv, light heavyweight title. We're going to talk about that in the next half hour. They're working together. That's what promoters have to do, to put the fights together. And credit to Oscar De La Hoya. He's always calling that out. the best fights for boxing are for the fans, of course. And the only way to do that is the promoters work together. Put aside all the streaming network jargon and dotting this and dotting that with the money. Get it together. Get these big fights together. And in that division of 140, as we keep saying, Rich, that's where it's going to be. It has to be to that magnitude. Promoters have to work together or it doesn't work.
It's not going to work at all.
That's what it is. All right, Rich, we reached the bottom of the hour here, and I introduced a new segment, first time on the program. I've done it on my previous shows in sports, but now we do it for boxing the first time. It's not trivia, it's a fact. And let's see. And if you don't get it now, get it. We'll get the answer to this fact of the week. All right, Rich, as a former fighter, you got to know this. All right?
Talk to me, yeah.
Someone in boxing history in the ring during a fight said to the referee, how many guesses I get? Because he was knocked down and asked by the referee how many fingers he was holding up. The referee asked this fighter, a heavyweight, there's a clue, how many fingers he was holding up after he got knocked down. I will tell you that this fighter said back to the referee is a fact, how many guesses I get. It was pretty funny at the time, and I remember it.
It's funny, right? It's funny. Right
He's
now.
out of New Jersey. There's another hint.
Oh, shit.
And a heavyweight. Yeah, can you get it?
I don't know who that is.
You want me to give it to you now? Or do you want me to give it to you later?
Nah, come on. I ain't going to be able to sleep. Who did this?
The Bayonne Bomber. Remember Chuck Webner, the heavyweight? The Bayonne Bleeder?
Yeah.
All right.
Throwback.
Oh, he used to bleed a lot. He used to get knocked down and come back, almost like a Tyson Fury type at times. But told the referee at the time, and I got to look up the fight and all that.
No, but what did the referee say when he asked how many chances?
Well, he didn't. The referee laughed. How many guesses do I get? Almost like a Tyson Fury type of thing in the middle of the ring.
Did he let the fight continue?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, because I would have too. Because that let you know he was there.
Well, that's one of the funny lines in boxing. One of the funny lines in an actual fight in the ring during a fight. And Chuck Webner was a character as well as a brawler. And the Bayonne Bleeder, they used to call it. All right, Rich. Well, another fact for you next week. And maybe you'll get it. And fans out there, you can comment as well. What'd you think of that fact? This is Keep It in the Ring. I'm Rich Mancuso. That's Richard Pearson. String Punk Entertainment presents. We're on YouTube. And we're also part of Rich Mancuso's YouTube channel, other social media platforms. Scroll at the bottom of your screen. Like, comment, and subscribe. Do that. We'll be back next half hour, and we'll look at some other things going on in boxing and a big fight coming up this weekend. Back in a moment, folks. Stay with us.
And always stoking the fire. Adrenaline is overloading. Hit the mat like a fighter. They never let up, never throwing, giving to their desires. No, they keep working on their focus.
Caught me off guard. I needed a breather in between rounds, and I got it. And it's Keep It in the Ring. Rich Mancuso, Richard Pearson, welcome back. Stream Punk Entertainment presents. Please, on YouTube, like, comment, and subscribe to Stream Punk Entertainment on Keep It in the Ring and my YouTube channel, Rich Mancuso. That would be appreciated. All right, Rich, I came out of that first half hour and I goofed. Everyone knows I goofed. And I was talking about, Teofimo Lopez. Yeah, no. Teofimo Lopez's next fight is Super Bowl week. It's Thursday night on ESPN. It's in Vegas. It's Lopez against Jermaine Ortiz. For Lopez's is lineal WBO junior welterweight title. WBO, part of Alphabet Soup organizations, as I call them. But that's the correction. Teofimo and Jermaine Ortiz. And we got to continue with some other headlines that took the sport on the past couple of days. We've been talking about that 140-pound division And we're going to go into the heavyweights real quick. And I want to focus on Tyson Fury and Usyk because their heavyweight title unification match is just about a month away or less, about a month away, and then be in Saudi Arabia, which has become Fight Kingdom of the world. And then Anthony Joshua is going to get back in the ring as well. He with Eddie Hearn, and brought up the point that Joshua could beat any other heavyweight in the division easily. And also said that Anthony Joshua is taking his way into the championship. And he also said that about Ryan Garcia. He said Ryan Garcia, and this was interesting. Eddie Hearn said is Ryan Garcia is taking the road to the championship, which I thought was interesting. That means Eddie Hearn wants to make that fight with him and Haney. And also said that Joshua is his guy, and said that Joshua will dominate, become the champion again, and unify. But first, we got to wait for the outcome of Usyk and Tyson Fury, Rich.
Listen, when it comes to Tyson Fury, that man right there is just something that, I mean, if he doesn't motivate a fighter to get up and just believe in himself, you know, he's one of the most mentally tough fighters that you could come across. You know, he's the closest thing you could get to an old school heavyweight besides his punching power. You know, he doesn't have it, you know, but he could have been in the ring with the Riddick Bowes, the Mike Tysons. You know, he could have been in the ring with these guys. These new heavyweights, I just don't see them built that way. They're just not. They don't believe in themselves how Tyson Fury does.
Well, Tyson Fury is good for boxing in many ways. We've seen that. The 3 fights with Deontay Wilder is an example of it. But, you know, he knows how to promote a fight. He can do it himself. He's a character, flamboyant character. In many ways, what he does promotes the sport. Sometimes I don't agree with some of the things he does, but overall he's a good promoter of the sport, because when you look at the ratings when Tyson Fury is fighting, they draw numbers, and that's all the promoters care about in the streaming networks right now. All they want to see is numbers, and that pertains to Devin Haney now, and a Ryan Garcia and a Gervonta Davis, guys that can market themselves.
No, it's
help
bigger.
the business.
It's bigger than that. Mancuso is bigger than that. It's bigger than how he can promote the sport. It's about what the man does inside and outside the ring. What a lot of the people don't understand is the reason why people get behind fighters is because you can relate to them. So when you see a person like a Tyson Fury who has to battle, you know, addictions, habits, and all of this craziness that he went through, and he cleans himself up, and he gets up, he goes out there, and he battles a person that supposedly been living a life of a fighter, you get dropped and you sit back up like the Undertaker and you just go for it. You go for it. He beat the Bronze Bomber.
Yeah.
We're always going to root for him.
You know, styles make fights. In the heavyweight division, you really can't say style makes a fight. That, you know, these guys are behemoths, many of them. But we're looking ahead here at this fight. We'll talk more about it in a couple of weeks as we get closer. Who do you think wins that fight? Does Usyk unify this division finally, or does Tyson Fury get that privilege of doing it?
With Tyson Fury's boxing IQ, determination, you know, his desire, it just his will. You know, I'm going to root for Tyson Fury. I'm just going to root for him. I mean, from the minute he was born, you know, for him to be the smallest of all his siblings, for him overcoming everything that, you know, doctors said that he wouldn't grow up to be this. He's the biggest of his family. He's accomplished so much without even trying. So I'm always going to root for him. I'm a root for the underdog. You know how I'm always root for that.
Would you root? But you see here on the other end of it, a guy who I don't like, who's got Amanda Serrano under his wing, and that being Jake Paul. And in San Juan, Puerto Rico on March 2nd, Jake Paul back in the ring promoting a show, co-main event, Amanda Serrano, the star female fighter, who generates a lot of revenue also for Jake Paul. All right. Now, Jake Paul knows how to market, obviously, because my size being a YouTube sensation. God, if I ever get to that point. But Jake Paul knows how to market, and that's why he's so successful. And there's where Tyson Fury is so successful. Knows how to market himself, Rich.
No, man, cool. So listen, anybody could talk. Anybody could talk the game. Anybody could hype up a fight.
Come on, Rich. You're opening up the door to me to question that right now. You don't think Tyson Fury is a good marketing guy? He's not effective enough, or am I reading you wrong?
Listen. You and I both, like, you're in New York. I'm in New Jersey, and we get in our car. We pull off. We're gonna ride past a candy store on every block, right? Everybody got that candy. Everybody marketing the candy, right? Everybody, but who really could back up the flavor of their candy? And that's what separates a Jake Paul, a Tyson Fury from the rest of these guys. They're not only marketing it, they're backing it up. You got a Jake Paul who was once considered a YouTuber, right? Now he's getting trained by the best, by the best trainers. You got Tyson Fury who's marketing it, and he's beating the best. Tyson Fury goes down in history for beating a bronze medalist. Does he not?
Yeah, he does. He does. And
Jake Paul, a YouTuber, and Jake Paul, who's a YouTuber, he gets to say he got in a ring with the best athletes and didn't get knocked out.
Well,
yes or no?
You're going to take it again, as I discussed with you last week, that Jake Paul, to me, is still not legitimately fights a legitimate fighter. Fury, I inadvertently called him Tommy Morrison last week, and that beat Paul. And my apologies again to the Tommy Morrison and the family and anybody I might have offended, because he's the late Tommy Morrison, who I admired a lot. But Jake Paul, until he fights an established fighter, to me, I can't take him seriously. But the public doesn't care because he sells.
No, you can't make that argument until the fighters that's known as professional fighters stop hiding behind 60 versus 40 and say, I would fight you for 10% just to prove I'm better.
Therein all lies the fact money,
you can't make that argument.
Is control. Richard, you brought up.
Can't make that argument.
Yeah, you did bring up a valid point right now. Fighter. Yeah, and fighters know what to do. I mean, you're part of the negotiating process. You're in there with the manager, the promoter, and the manager, and you guys, you're the one and the final guy that has to make the decision. Unless the promoter said no, this is what you got to do. And the logistics and business of boxing is another issue altogether that needs to be discussed, because it's complicated. It's not only controversial, but it's complicated. Now, go back to Anthony Joshua, March 8th, Saudi Arabia. We're talking about business of boxing right away. And you steam ahead to this and see another major fight on the zone in Saudi Arabia. That's become the capital of the sport, besides Las Vegas. But Saudi Arabia is getting a lot of fights, and the money's being poured in by the princes and kings and so forth. Joshua's going to fight the heavyweight. Pronounce his name again. The former UFC fighter, the heavyweight. Ngannou.
Yeah, you pronounce that.
No, I can't pronounce the name. Everyone knows I'm notorious for names. Everyone knows that. But regardless, Joshua is fighting a guy that gave Tyson Fury a fight of his life. Almost beat him. In fact, many people thought he beat him last year. And if Joshua doesn't win this fight, all his plans go out the board. If this guy beats Joshua, he becomes a top-rated heavyweight. He's considered one of the top ones now after the fight with Fury. And if he wins that fight, he might even get a title shot. That's how this business works. If Joshua loses his fight, which I don't think he will, then Anthony Joshua, who's on this great comeback trail, after losing the title, Anthony Joshua then is not that marketable fighter no more. You get the point? Everyone does.
Joshua's this. Oh my. Okay, so you're saying Joshua is a marketable fighter. Listen, Joshua, like Anthony Joshua, he once he lost to Andy Ruiz, he was exposed. He was exposed. He got stopped by a fighter who's completely out of shape, just had determination and will. That's all Andy had. And he got up after being knocked down and he stopped Anthony Joshua. They got a rematch and that fight went to decision. When you get stopped by somebody and you get a rematch and you don't stop the person that stopped you, you win by unanimous decision. That's just like your mama on the porch saying, "Yeah, baby, you stood up for yourself." Real fighters don't want to hear that. Real fighters don't want to hear that.
I don't think anybody's
eye for an eye.
You're out. Anthony Joshua that night in June at Madison Square Garden, which sold out 20,000 more, did very well on the Zone numbers wise, the streaming network. That wasn't him.
Like Jake Paul, you talking about money.
That wasn't him.
You want to know why it wasn't? It wasn't him because he looked at a little short fat guy and said, "There's no way in the world he's going to hurt me." And the Pillsbury Doughboy, Doughboy put the baker to sleep. That's what happened.
Still one of the
moment, Joshua has never been the same.
And that's still one of the major upsets in boxing history. It goes down a few years ago. Let's continue, Rich, and let's look at some other topics of discussion here. And let's take a look at what happened just a few days ago. Julio Chavez Jr., the son of the legend from Mexico, the Hall of Fame champion, commented about his son, who was arrested for illegal possession of an assault rifle in Los Angeles. The 37-year-old Chavez Jr. is a former champion. LAPD pulled him over. They said it was a ghost gun, but he was arrested. It's not the first time that Chavez Jr. has been involved with the law on the other side, the wrong side, and marijuana possession, whatever. This young man, I remember when he debuted. I remember when he debuted at a press conference with him for his first fight somewhere in the 1990s. Now, here's what Chavez Jr. said in defense of his son, because everybody's been outraged about this. Thanks for being alert about my son, the lookout, and so forth. Unfortunately, I confirmed the news that he spread today. He confirmed it, that his son was arrested, working together with his lawyers to resolve the legal situation. As of late, it's been a long road, but I don't lose faith. Pray to God this is a moment. Finally, my son will go towards a better, useful life and happy life. He's asking for fans to get his understanding on this. Due to the legal issues, he can't provide more info. The lawyers said to him at the moment not to comment. Thanked everyone for their blessings. Many fans are commenting about this. And also, I wonder, Chavez Jr.'s career has long been over. And he's talked about coming back again, but a talent that's gone down the drain completely, Rich.
Yeah, well, listen, I was never a fan of Chavez Jr. I'm not a fan of any fighter that live off their father's name and, live their amateur careers in the pros. I get that's part of the business, but I'm not going to say anything bad about this situation that he's in right now because this is how I feel. He's a professional fighter just as I am, which means we're walking human weapons. We don't actually need a gun. However, when you're out in California, you're Texas, New Jersey, Chicago, you never know how somebody's going to run up on you, and you do need to protect yourself at all times. We can't throw punches at everybody. So if we have a firearm, we have a firearm. I don't think that he should be looked at as a criminal. You have people out here that's never contributed to the community, never gave back to the community, but they are out here illegally with firearms. So I'm not going to say anything bad to the man. Like I'm not saying anything bad about that. It's just That's what the media does. That's the part right there where it's like it's bad. He didn't do anything wrong. What did he do wrong? Did he shoot someone? Or
Well,
he
we
just
don't
had
know
a
all the
weapon?
we don't know all the entire scenario, though, the entire and all the specifics. That's all we know right now. But it's more so that his and I like the fact that the legend Julio Chavez, the Hall of Famer, went to his son's defense right away, not
Yeah,
and made the
yeah.
proper
That
statement. Uh, as
yes.
much as that Chavez Jr. is not in the limelight, no longer is, too many incidents in boxing and sports overall, but in boxing, it's just too much of this, too much of the guns, getting caught with this, the illegal substance. In fact, we had another one in New York, Baby Miller, the heavyweight who just fought last week. Got caught
Yeah.
with something, an illegal substance again, or something.
E-
He got
even
involved.
Devin, even
I
Devin
think it was a
Haney,
domestic
even Devin
violence
Haney,
dispute.
even Devin Haney got caught with a gun.
Yeah, yeah. Now,
Devin Haney got caught with a gun.
I don't think fighters are getting the proper guidance. I don't think fighters are getting the proper attention to their needs, especially with the more of awareness of mental illness, which is a major focal point of this country. Um, and they're not whatever. Former fighters, present fighters is not enough. Another issue we're going to tackle about fighters, including yourself, when you leave the ring, what do you do? How do you hold your finances? Now, a guy like you, and we're going to talk. We're not going to get. I want to. This is a whole different subject. We will get into this. How do fighters like you survive once you're out of the ring? What do you do? Many can adjust. Some can't. Some say they can't. They missed the roar of the crowd. They got to be back there. But in this case, Chavez Jr. is not coming back. He's been long gone a long time ago. Speaking of fighters still in the news, Errol Spence Jr. Still talk about him and Terrence Crawford rematching, which I don't want to see at 147. However, it comes out just yesterday that Errol Spence Jr. had cataract surgery off his retina problems as well. So I don't think we're going to see Spence Crawford anytime soon, Rich.
I told you last week. I don't want to see Errol Spence Jr. ever again. He needs to take everything that he made from the sport of boxing and live his life with his family. And I'm not saying this in a disrespectful manner. I'm saying this as a father. I'm saying this as a son. I'm saying this as a brother, as an uncle, as a nephew. He did everything that he could do in the sport of boxing. He did it all. And he's not a fighter that he's not an Andre Ward. He's not a Bernard Hopkins. He doesn't have a lot of tools in his toolbox. He got this far. He's done it. He's not going anywhere else. With the talent that's in his weight class right now, he's just going to keep getting damaged. Right now, back to what you were just saying, management is what he needs in his life. They need to take everything he's accomplished and let him live. He should be the next promoter for boxing.
Well, perhaps he might be keeping that in mind, Rich, because he's risking further eye damage, I believe, if he goes into the ring. I mean, you have a retina issue, and now you have cataract issue, and it's going to take him time to recuperate. And any talk of a Errol Spence Jr., Terrence Crawford rematch is not happening anytime soon. And again, I don't want to see it anyway. All right, Rich.
It shouldn't happen.
No. But again, when it comes down to specifics and the money involved, they might do it.
Only
as long as Terrence Crawford wants to do that.
Only way I will watch that fight is if Tony Weeks the referee.
Really?
Fight's going to be stopped within 30 seconds.
Okay. That's Richard Pearson's opinion, not mine, Rich Mancuso. Keeping in the ring, continuing as we get in to wrap this up. Fight week this week has got one major fight on the calendar this Saturday night from Quebec, Montreal, where a championship boxing returns on ESPN. Light heavyweight title. The champion Artur Beterbiev, and he defends against Eddie Hearn's matchroom fighter, Kaleem Smith, who has a ton of experience in there. But Bertavib is that fighter that'll knock you out. He has the highest knockout ratio in boxing right now among current fighters. He wins, and it's expected he will, but Smith will be tough. He will be tough. He is in that division. But if Bertavib does his end of the bargain, Dimitri Bivol did his bit of the bargain last weekend, we are headed possibly, and I say possibly again, to a fight that's in demand, especially with fans, a unification title in the light heavyweight division, Rich.
Both guys can fight, and this is constantly what's happening in boxing. I just hope that this isn't one of the fights where we got to deal with it for 5 years of the hype.
Well, Bertavib is very underrated. If you haven't seen him on Showtime before or ESPN or somewhere, you're missing a classic knockout artist. That's what he is.
I mean, he has power in both his hands. Either hand he uses, he can hurt you. But what I'm saying is the build up to it. Like, of course he's going to be. Is he underrated, or is he just not getting?
I think he's underrated. He's underrated because he's not with the big names. He is with Top Rank, and Eddie Hearn are totally co-promoting this.
Okay,
but he wins this fight. He's finally going to get the recognition he deserves because he'll get a shot at unification and the four-belt era with Dimitri Bivol. All right, Rich, we're wrapping this up. Before I do that and get your final thoughts, we have a MMA event coming up that I'm involved with, and we will be doing some more MMA on the program. So get your homework done, Rich. We'll be talking MMA on the program as well. This event coming up on pay-per-view, Danger Zone 2 from the Armory up in Elmsford. Where am I? In the Armory up in Newburgh, New York. I am the voice of Danger Zone. Richard, you'll be there at Cage Side. That's what we call it. Pay-per-view is your order. If you're not attending, let me bring in Scott Churston, our great producer and head of Stream Park Entertainment, to talk to you a little more about it, Scott.
All right. So basically at this point, we are on process for Danger Zone number 2. We had a really good event the first time out back in September. We had over 12 matches on the docket across about 4 hours. This time we're currently slated for 16 fighters, 16 matches across 4 to possibly upwards of 5 hours. We have a multi-camera setup. In this case, we're going to include a drone cam for the first time, which is going to be really badass. And tickets for this, by the way, for pay-per-view, just $10. This is
good bargain.
This is meant to be pay-per-view for the masses. This is not something that basically is going to cost $50 to $75. This is for the average person who just spent a bunch of money at Christmas and can't afford to basically drop that kind of cash.
Let alone, yeah. And Scott, these are all amateur fighters that can go pro tomorrow.
Absolutely. And we have some ties in that regard too, which we'll discuss in the near future.
Right.
Additionally, if you use the promo code Danger Zone that you see at the bottom, it will take an additional $1 off on it as well. The QR code is on the left side. So basically all you need to do is just click on that. Any tickets, any questions, anything like that, you can just contact me, contact any of my team, and we will get back to you right away on it. This is something that, like I said, we're trying to do this to make it affordable to everyone because, frankly, the 99% have a really hard time right now paying $50 to $75. So we're trying to make this as easy as possible on it. But we got some great fighters. We got some great fights. We got some great turnout last time. So I'm really, really excited to see what we have this time around and showcase, in this case, Danger Zone 2, alongside our company, Stream Punk Entertainment. One last thing, Mr. Rich Mancuso down below will be doing commentary ringside once again, just like he did last time. So he's going to be rocking it that way.
I promise not to botch the names.
I have faith in you, man. But yeah, like I said, tickets are $10. You can get them at ticketzone.us/dangerzone or the QR code that's on the left side. And any questions, let us know.
Yeah, I'd like to get Richard Pearson in the cage and see what he can do. Not me facing him, but maybe he wants to convert, make a comeback as an MMA fighter.
Oh, I'll do it.
I don't know.
I'll do it.
Hey, well, you'll be up there. You can talk to the promoters. Michael Cope was the promoter of Mac Promotions, and so was Mike Pascal. Great group of people to work with. I look forward to it. We're approaching MMA present the pay-per-view. Mac Promotions presents Danger Zone 2, a Newburgh Armory up in Newburgh, New York, and that's coming up Saturday evening, February 2nd. There's a lot of fights in the cage, 7 p.m. to midnight. More about it again next week as we near closer. Thank you, Scott, and thanks for all your great work again tonight, putting up with me and Rich. Thank you.
You
You're
guys
a whiz.
you're easy by comparison to some of them.
Okay. All right, Rich, let's wrap up this program this week. Interesting comments about that referee, Tony Weeks, and the fight itself with Vergil Ortiz and Fredrick Lawson. And we'll see what develops out of that. Plus, we'll watch that Bertavie fight on Saturday night on ESPN. Have a very big interest in that fight to see if it leads to Bertavie against Demetrio Bivol. And next week we come back. Maybe we'll have a guest on with us to join us in on the program, Rich, and talk some more about the sports. Any final thoughts, Richard?
Yeah, but before you go, who you want to win Saturday?
Bertavie.
Oh, that's who you going. So I'm going with the other person.
Well, I think not only who I'd like to win, I think he will win. He'll stop Khalim Smith. I think it's going to be an interesting fight, go past 8 rounds, but he'll stop him. But more so, I want to see him win because I want to see unification. I'm an old school purist. I want to see titles unified, whether they last one day, a week, a month, or whatever it is. They tend to do. But I'd like to see Bertavie and Demetrio Bivol, which would be a mega fight in the light heavyweight division, get unified. And of course, Bivol is a technician in the ring. Bertavie is a knockout artist. And when that happens, you got to fight.
So you're going for Bivol?
Bivol's not fighting Saturday. I want Bivol. I want Bertavie to win.
No, I'm talking about after your boy wins. Who you going with? Because
Bivol, Bertavie? Well, we'll wait until that fight's officially made.
Yeah, I know you was going to do that.
I gotta be objective. I need to be objective here.
You know who I'm going with.
Wait until the fight. Rich, don't let me get the gloves out and come after you now. You know what I mean? We call it keep it in the ring for a reason. So don't let me get the gloves out. All right?
I just want to get it out in the open. You can't switch up.
Any final thoughts? Final thoughts is in a couple of months, I'm gonna be able to say to you, I told you so. Okay. Whatever that means. I don't know, but he told me so. And I told you so, according to Richard Pearson. Folks, thanks for your support. Thanks for watching this hour or so of Keep It in the Ring. Back with you again next week. Don't forget to log on, String Punk Entertainment, that presents Keep It in the Ring every week. Also on YouTube, like, comment, and subscribe. Also to my channel, Rich Mancuso. Reach me, Facebook.com, Rich Mancuso, or Twitter at Ring786. I'll be happy to get back to you, but please comment so we can know what to tell back to get back to you. And like, comment, and subscribe. Appreciate your support. And Richard Pearson, again, thank you very much, my friend. Keep it in the ring, everyone. Till next week. Stay safe, be well. And as always, what do we say, Rich?
Keep it in the ring.
Keep it in the ring, my friend. See you next week. Thank you.